Welcome. We start a new chapter of this cycle, Conversations in Salamanca, Understanding Longevity. Its main goal is to understand the phenomenon of long-living societies from the perspective of personalities in the intellectual, scientific, economic, and social fields. In this occasion, our guest is leading the field of behavioral finance. We talk to the American economist Shlomo Benartzi. Benartzi is the co-author of the program Save More Tomorrow. Together with the Nobel Economic Prize, Richard Thaler, it's an initiative that has helped more than 25 million people in the US to save more in order to retire better. Benartzi describes himself as a behavioral economist, combining psychology, technology, and economics to fix social problems. And he has an added value. He not only detects the anecdotes that result from social biases and human biases, but he also addresses the solutions that we can implement to fix retirement and how to face challenges and take advantage of the opportunities that we have in this new world, the world of long-living societies. Shlomo Benartzi, welcome. Thank you for being here. So you talk about three biases that make us take the wrong decisions when we talk about savings. Let's build on that. First, you talk about present bias. What's that?
Present bias is we tend to live in the here and now. We discount the future, but excessively so. We ignore it almost. You could think about exercising. We all want to exercise, but we can't get to it because in the present we're like, let's eat, let's relax by the TV, watch something, check things on the internet. So present bias is generally a problem. It makes us live in the here and now. It makes us spend as opposed to thinking about the future and saving. Now, I feel that too often we're trying to fix those biases, change people, as if we can go in their mind and change it, maybe educate them. But what if we actually accept those biases and create solutions that let people actually do the right things despite their biases? If it's so difficult to save today, why not do it next year? Sounds so much easier. So then the solution would be save tomorrow or next year. And a lot of people find that a lot more palatable than doing it right away today because of the present bias.
So you commit to saving later on in the future.
Exactly.
There is a second bias you mentioned, which is inertia. How does that work?
So the way to think about inertia is that change is difficult. It's so easy to keep doing what we're doing. And if we're used to going out and spending, it's so easy to keep going out and spending. Now, if we're going to start saving next year, we dealt with present bias, but then next year comes, how do we know that we're actually going to take action and fight inertia and start saving? So the second component of this program called Save More Tomorrow is that we don't fight inertia, we work with it, we make it easy to start saving. How do we do that? In countries like the US, the UK, Australia, you could automatically save from your paycheck. So once you're actually committed and said, I want to save next year, when next year happens, you're going to automatically save into your future. And every year thereafter, we're going to automatically increase the savings. So every time you're going to go up and up and up. And even if you suffer from inertia, it's not going to be a problem because it's going to happen on its own. It's like an autopilot.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that works with the third bias, loss aversion, as well. You mentioned, and it's a fantastic example. If you give an apple to someone, he's really happy. If you give them two and take one, you still have one apple, but they're really upset. There's a loss aversion. How do you fix that when it comes to saving?
I think it's a great example. Loss aversion is a problem with savings because if I'm asking you to take the money away, not to be able to spend it and put it aside, it could feel like a loss. Like, I can't go out 3 times a week. I should only go out 2 times. You've taken away not an effort, but you've taken away a meal. So when Richard Thaler and I came up with the Save More Tomorrow program, we were kind of thinking, when would be the best time to save more? We came with the idea, maybe we do it when you make more money. You get the pay raise. You don't have to cut the expenses. You could keep going out. It's just that you take some of the increase in your salary and you put that aside towards savings. So the program kind of have those 3 components that you talked about. We're going to pre-commit to saving more in the future. It's going to happen automatically thereafter. And we're going to do it when we make more money and it's easier to find a bit of extra money to save.
You've helped 25 million Americans to save more under that program, Save for Tomorrow. So let me guide me. How does it work? How has it been implemented?
It's been implemented in several countries by employers who set retirement plans for their employees. In the US, we call it 401k plans.
Mm-hmm.
And once an employee signs up for it, it just all happens automatically because the employer knows when they make money, how much money they make, how much to put aside with a financial institution. And the beauty of it, it's a complete autopilot. You could take it to the next level. And what we're seeing happening more often now, that employees don't even have to sign up. Once they actually start the job, they're automatically being placed in a retirement plan. They're automatically having their saving rates go up unless they opt out. So they can decide that they would like to save less or they would like to save more. We actually notice, which is fascinating, when people actually opt out of automatic retirement savings and choose something different, when they change the default, more often than not, they choose to go faster, to increase the saving rate.
To save even more.
To save even more. You see some who go down, but if you look at how many go up, how many go down, we're seeing in the data that more people actually further increase it than decrease it.
You mentioned there are tweaks that you can do, and some of them you're already covering, but explain to me, how do you do it? Do you trick people into doing things they don't want, or do you incentivize behaviors that people already have?
Yeah, so I think it's a critical question, because the last thing we want to do from an ethical perspective is trick people who don't want to save into saving. And before we even started the program back in the 90s, we first surveyed people, and the vast majority told us that they want to save more. So that was very critical because we didn't want to virtually trick people into saving unless they wanted to. It's one very important component. Before we actually nudge people in a specific direction, we have to know that they actually want to go there, they just don't find the way. Think about it as a GPS in your car. You want to go from Madrid to Salamanca, and you don't know how, and this thing just shows you the way. He doesn't trick you by saying, oh, you're going to go to Barcelona or you're going to go to another place. So that's one, I think, very important component. There's another component, which is if it doesn't fit people, or if they change their mind, we have to make it easy to opt out. So when we designed the program, we always made sure that if someone would like to opt out, that they have a health issue, they have a lot of expenses, they can't say that it would be easy to opt out. And I think those are two critical ingredients to make sure that we're empowering and enabling people to do what they want. We're not tricking them into something that they don't want.
What's the result? You've experimented this already, and you've been nudging people into doing what they want tomorrow, doing what they want to do in the future, getting to that point. What's the result? The experiments, the experience, what's been the result?
First implementation was back in the 90s. We had low-income employees. They were kind of, in a manufacturing facility, what we call blue-collar employees on the assembly line. They were not making a lot of money. We found out that with this program, we were able to quadruple their saving rate from 3.5% of their salary to almost 14% of their salary. Now we estimate about 26 million people are saving more tomorrow. And one of the important things is there have been surveys over time here and there by financial institutions about people who are in programs like it. They're super happy. But there have also been surveys of people who opt out. And the people who opt out have been actually pretty happy too. It's really critical. They didn't say that they felt being tricked. They didn't say that they were upset about it. They thought it was a good idea. It just didn't fit them. And they were okay virtually being enrolled in it and just opting out, which we always made easy to do if needed.
So you're not imprisoned.
Totally.
We're talking about private investment, private citizens. Should governments invest more in nudging?
I think that's an awesome question. We did a study where we looked at if a government would like people to save more. There's just one example of a government policy. We also looked at if governments would like people to get higher education, go to school, to colleges and universities. What if the government wants people to get vaccinated? But let me focus on retirement savings. Let's say that we have a goal, and the goal is to have people save for emergencies, for retirement. We looked at if the government considers different policies, what would be most effective? For example, tax benefits. And that turned out to be very ineffective, actually. It doesn't generate a lot of savings.
Even though it's the generalized program, the generalized system, right?
It's the typical solution around the world.
And it's not working.
When governments would like to motivate people to save, they provide tax benefits. And at least in the US, for example, for $1 that the government spends on tax benefits, they roughly generate just $1 of savings. There's no scale. We also looked at other interventions, and we found out that simple nudges could have 1,600 times the effectiveness of tax benefits. It's just crazy powerful. We did a study with 1 million people in the US Army, and we found that a couple of email campaigns with the right nudges, like explaining to people vividly how little small contributions add up dramatically over time, those campaigns were 1,600 times more effective at generating savings. We did similar analysis for kind of sending kids to college and for getting people vaccinated, and actually also looked at the environment and kind of motivating people to be more environmentally responsible. And across all domains, behavioral interventions were dramatically more effective than traditional ways governments try to motivate citizens to take responsible actions. And I think it is safe to conclude that governments probably invest too little in nudging, and so do actually for-profit, for example, financial institutions.
Mm-hmm. That is nudging. That is pushing, or at least, pointing at. What about guiding? What about educating people? How big a role that has?
So I think as we kind of learn about individual differences, we're going to have to engage people and personalize the solutions. So nudging and getting everyone to start saving and saving more is a great starting point. It's not perfect, but it's surely pretty good as a starting point. The challenge is, as we age, in addition to accumulating assets, we accumulate differences. For example, some people would have kids and some would not. Some parents would like to leave something for their kids behind, and some parents don't. And I can't guess it unless I engage with people and learn about their preferences. And that would have significant implications for how you spend your money in retirement. If you would like to leave behind more, you should spend less. So it brings me really to the need to personalize the path and advise people. And the good news is that now in the 21st century, we have the technologies to engage with people at scale, to personalize the advice. And I think that's kind of what we have to do next, moving from just nudging and one shoe fits all to kind of personalization and guiding people to what would fit their specific financial journey.
Can you profile that? Can you actually tailor that to the needs of particular families, particular users, particular savers? Can you actually do that?
I strongly believe so. And I don't think it's just a persona. I think it's literally at an individual level. There's no reason we can't measure differences in how people feel about losses and make sure that they're investing and spending in a way that is consistent with it. Or, for example, some people prefer to spend their money earlier in retirement. Travel with the grandkids while you're strong and healthier and can physically do it. We could personalize the drawdown of assets in retirement so that you spend it fast enough or slow enough to fit your own preferences. All of that is really feasible. We're in 2024 going to virtually 2025 and a quarter of a century into the 21st century. The technology is there. We should be able to do it. Do it in an inexpensive fashion so that we could really democratize financial advice.
What role does artificial intelligence play when it comes to this? Can AI, can algorithms tailor that, help with that?
I think they offer a lot of things. At the bare minimum, they offer scale. So in the old days, only wealthy individuals would get financial advice. We would even call those people providing the advice very often wealth managers. If you're not wealthy, it's not for you. And the way they would provide the advice, if you were, say, a Merrill Lynch advisor, there'll be a computer terminal. You plug information about the client, It calculates the optimal investment portfolio, and then you take the client to play golf or for lunch and you talk to him about it. AI will not replace the computer terminal. The AI that we're seeing out there, like ChatGPT, has not been built to create mean variance portfolio optimization. That algorithm to decide how to invest, what insurance to buy, what debt to take or pay off will still be there. The lunch or playing golf with the advisor would go away. That is the role of AI, to communicate virtually the financial advice to the end user, even if they don't have a lot of money, even if they want to do it at 2 a.m. in plain English. And the evidence is that some of those AI tools are better than humans at virtually communication. And that's really where I think we could bring down market advice to everyone. And while doing it, we could expand also the range of financial decisions we're going to talk to clients about. Because in the US, wealth managers generally talk about investing. When you go down market, the main financial problems people have is debt. How do I pay off my debt efficiently? Protection, insurance. How do I make sure that if something happens to me, my family is secure, and so on. AI can actually be trained to provide a holistic financial plan, not be focused just on a narrow sleeve like investing. So that is really making it available, accessible, inexpensive, but I don't know what we don't know. And I think as AI is becoming more visual, mimicking a video experience, I think the sky is the limit, because one could imagine actually AI showing you what you would be like in retirement, how you would spend your time, which restaurants you're going to go to, and creating a movie of your life in retirement, so you could now relate to it, and perhaps by relating to it and seeing that it's real, maybe take it more seriously.
Seeing the future. You can see the future and take decisions today.
Correct.
I have 2 questions when it comes to artificial intelligence. First, you mentioned the bias that human beings have today. AI has been mimicking those biases. Does artificial intelligence correct for those biases, or does it perpetuate them?
It's a great question. AI technologies like ChatGPT, they learn from huge databases. They're called large language models. If you're going to have a billion books to read, and you're going to have all the information on the internet, and that's how you're going to learn, if that information would have biases, then you're going to replicate it. And if you were able to get so much information beyond what a human can comprehend, you would probably be more overconfident than a human. You would think you know everything because you literally read every possible book on earth. So yes, AI actually has biases. Sometimes those biases are actually worse than what human beings have. The good news is it would be easier to debias AI than debias a human being, because those are algorithms, and you could virtually create meta rules on top of the black box algorithms that it has, and virtually kind of trained it to be debiased. When you think about a human being as a financial advisor, it's very difficult to go into our brain and kind of rewire us in a way that is unbiased. So I think it would take a bit of effort, but I don't think we're that far from actually having AI that is far less biased than human beings.
My second concern is who controls that artificial intelligence. At this point, OpenAI, Microsoft, Meta, they're all running to get the best artificial intelligence and their own artificial intelligence. So I guess my concern is, if you get financial advice from Microsoft, is there a risk that Microsoft will seek some profit into it, that they might not be advising you what's best for you, but what's best for them? Is there a risk of kidnapping these models?
There's no doubt that there is risk of using AI broadly to really make money at the expense of guiding people in the right direction. I think that's why regulators have to provide a healthy, responsible regulatory framework for how AI can be used, and we need it as soon as possible. One framework that could work is that, back to the Merrill Lynch advisor example, the computer terminal would have to be done by independent experts. It would not be able to be done by Merrill Lynch. It would have to be done by independent experts. It would have to be transparent. The algorithms would have to be known. They could not be built with conflicts of interest in them. And then the AI would not alter the algorithms, which would be how much to save, how to invest your saving, what debt to pay first. The AI would just translate it into plain English, helping people understand what to do, why, how to do, and guiding them. And I think that kind of a framework, in a sense, splits the financial engine and the communication devices, and could be very healthy for us, but the government would have to create the overall framework so that responsible industry players know how to actually do it. And irresponsible ones would kind of limit their ability to manipulate it.
They'll be phased out, I guess. They will be expelled out of the system. They will be cleaned.
Or they'll just have to play it fair, like everyone else.
Mm-hmm. We've covered the situation biases. We've covered how to correct them, nudging, and how to guide people, and the role of artificial intelligence, and what I would say is the present, not the future anymore. When we talk about savings, and this is my final question for you, when we talk about future or retirement, we always think about well-being, about health well-being, about physical well-being. What about financial well-being? What's the end result of all these things into the future financial well-being?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. When you look at data, at least from the US, older people are not worried about being sick or dying. They're worried about not being able to cover expenses when they get sick, about running out of money, or about having to ask their kids to virtually pay for the bills. So there's real concerns about, in a sense, financial well-being. And we also know that financial well-being is actually linked to overall well-being. So we have to start thinking not just about dollars and cents. We have to start thinking about how people enjoy retirement, what's their financial well-being and well-being overall. And we're now kind of finding ways to measure it. And it seems like one critical component is financial anxiety. The more we can lower it, the more we could provide financial peace of mind, the higher the financial well-being is. And the one factor that is huge is getting advice. I find out that getting financial advice has the same impact on increasing financial well-being as getting a salary increase of 82%. So it's just huge. And it's not because...
Getting advice gives you as much peace of mind as almost doubling your salary.
Exactly. Exactly. And when you think about it and how inexpensive it would be to provide advice with new technologies, it's a no-brainer that as a society, we have to focus on that, because we do have an opportunity to make a huge difference and really give people the financial peace of mind they deserve in retirement.
Across all kinds of populations, or is there a higher peace of mind the poorer you are? Because rich people already have financial advisors, just so we speak.
So the wealthy have two things working to their advantage. The wealthy, they have more, so they're less likely to run out of money, but they also generally have more access to advice. I think that new technologies can help us democratize advice and close some of the societal gaps in financial well-being, bringing that peace of mind down market and closing gaps.
So, Shlomo Benartzi, using behavioral economics to solve the retirement crisis. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure listening to you and learning from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.